Hi guys, welcome to a new video, and this is gonna be a brief review based on the test and also based on the workshop that you did. Remember, to each sentence we can apply different tests to see if those group of words is a constituent or not. We studied replacement, movement, clef, and also we have answered to questions. So guys, remember, for replacement test, we have adjective phrases. Please use adjective when I give you some sentences that are underlying adjective phrases. And also for some prepositional phrases, okay, remember, then is for time and there is for place. You cannot use those two words if the preposition is working as an adverb of manner. Remember that. Some of you didn't read that part. In here, those are the two weaknesses. So, for example, here I have an example. On the test, I told you, my mother seemed quite upset because of my low grades. Some of you cleft that sentence. Okay, in that case, it is grammatical. But if it in a possible in the future, if that sounds ungrammatically, of course, I cannot give you the point. But in that case, it is grammatically correct, so I give you the point. But the purpose of that sentence was for you to use a different adjective, another adjective to replace that adjective. For example, my mother seems sad because of my low grades. Or you can use another one. But this one was the purpose of that sentence. Okay? Remember also when you have a question, you immediately realize you can use the same question, but you can replace Mary, and you still have the question. When will you call? Mary is a noun, and it is a you can use an object pronoun. So in that case, you change, right? So you use when will you call her? So that is the answer that I'm expecting. In that case, um, pay attention to this. Okay. Remember, guys, of course, you need a level of difficulty because you are in third year. You have to analyze, and that is why I like this. Why? Because you have to read. For example, in some sentences, I didn't underline everything. I There were missing some articles that are essential to a phrase. So, for example, I spent my weekend reading an interesting article. Interesting article. This is supposedly an MP, but it is not an MP if I am missing an interesting article. Okay, so try to analyze those things. You have to tell me. It is not just telling me not possible. You have to tell me why not, because it is missing the article. Okay, because you need to be clear on that. Why it is not because it is missing something. Okay, pay attention to that. And I repeat it and I repeat it. When you have to cleft sentences, guys, you cannot cleft a whole phrase and have many phrases inside, because in that case, for example, you cleft the whole predicate. It is not possible. You have to take just some words and test if that is possible or not, if it is a constituent or not. In that case, Mary is a constituent and a piece of paper is another constituent. So if they are both together, they don't work like that. You have to choose one. And that is the case. I'm gonna just explain this. Remember, in the test was easy because I underlined, because I probably you were be confused, and that is why I did like that one. I underlined. But remember that I give you a pre-test. In there, I just ask for clefting the predicate. In that case, you are free to choose if you want to cleft a letter or if you want to cleft to apologize. If that was the case, that you want to cleft a letter, it says it was a letter that we're going to apologize. But if you want to clef in the predicate to apologize, you can tell me it was to apologize that we wrote a letter. If you give me like that, even though you choose one and that is a constituent, I'm gonna give you the point. But guys, you cannot tell me like this. It was apologize that we wrote a letter to. Immediately, just by reading that, you realize that it is not a constituent because it is ungrammatically. So you are missing things. You are not just rearranging everything. So be careful with that. Be careful with that because in some cases, the professor is not going to give you that underlining. Okay? And remember, guys, this one answer to questions is another test. It is the most common one, and that is why it is not, it doesn't have like an emphasis because you can test it in the easiest way. If I give you, I gave them a lesson yesterday, I can provide if some of those MP in this case or in that adverb is a constituent in the sentence by saying, what did I give them? A lesson. So I can provide that a lesson is a constituent in that sentence. If I say, when did I give them a good lesson or a good lesson? When? Yesterday. So I can say yesterday is another constituent in that sentence just by answering the question with the sentence uh, that I give you. That could be with this one or with the other one. So this is another test that you can apply, but of course it's the easiest one, and that is why probably Professor Naya told me uh you can mention that. Okay, guys. So that's it. That's where basically the weaknesses on the test in the workshop. Pay attention to them because it's gonna be helpful for you when you have to see the trees. And based on those results, and we are gonna do some activities in the classroom, and also you are gonna do an online activity. So, guys, see you next time, and hope you are doing well. Bye.